By leveraging multiple channels of communication, email, text, and postal mail, we ensure that homeowners receive timely and accessible notifications regardless of their preferred method of correspondence. As elected officials, it is our duty to protect our constituents from harm and provide them with the resources they need to safeguard their futures. Intro 1086 is one step toward achieving that goal, and I urge all of you to join me in supporting it. So again, in closing, I want to again thank Chair Brandon for convening this hearing and for BKA for their advocacy and partnership, and thank you because you have no problems with my bill, so that's exciting. I look forward to moving forward and bringing this meaningful protection to homeowners across the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Williams. I just have a couple of questions, and I want to turn it over to the bill sponsors for some of their questioning. Just broadly, what efforts does Department of Finance make to inform residential property owners about available tax breaks?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember. The Department of Finance does proactive outreach in a number of ways. We have an outreach team that does hundreds of events a year that interact with thousands of New Yorkers, that inform New Yorkers about our benefit programs. We partner with council members, we go out to community boards, we do a number of events. Separate from that, we do a number of direct mailings. So we inform property owners through our notice of property values, NOPVs, which will go out to property owners tomorrow, actually, funny enough. It has exemption information in those mailings. We also do we inform property owners through our late day notices as well. 45-day late day notices which is thanks to Local 82 of the tax lien sale bill, that notifies property owners of exemptions. And additionally, we also offer a welcome package to New Yorkers anytime a property owner buys a new property in New York City that informs property owners of exemption information that could benefit them. And most recently, as of last year, we did direct mailings to recipients that we thought that would qualify for Shahi and Dahi benefits. And so we did about 19,000 mailings last year, and this year we're looking to do about 41,000 mailings. So we're really trying multiple different avenues to do proactive outreach on our benefit programs.
Okay. And does DOF have available data that would give us the info we need to compare the number of taxpayers who are eligible for a tax break versus those who are actually taking advantage of the tax break?
In 2022, we did this for SCREE-DREE recipients. We paired some data that we had from the state level, and we found about 135,000 eligible households. SCREE-DREE is a little different because we do that based off income, but there's other criteria for SCREE-DREE. It's a little bit different than Shahi-Dahi. And we're not aware of everyone in that population. We're not aware of everyone's rental status of what they pay for rent, which is critical. As for Shahi and Dahi, we work with the state as well to determine eligible population. There should be upcoming numbers the next few months that we will have to determine the eligible populations for these programs.
Okay. Does DOF have any specific or explicitly stated goals related to enrollment in these tax breaks? Like we'd like to see 75% of eligible taxpayers. Of course.
Yes, Councilmember. Prior to the pandemic, we had more folks on program, and now we're back. I think the numbers as of FY24 were, I believe, 64,000 or so for Shahi and Dahi.
64,000 folks who are enrolled.
Let me pull up the right numbers for you. Excuse me. SCREE-DREE was about 64,000 last year, and Shahi-Dahi was about 46,000. Those numbers.
Okay, those numbers for enrollment.
Mm-hmm, on program.
And what about eligibility?
We do, as I said, Councilor, excuse me, we don't have those numbers just yet. Okay. We're still working through the eligibility, and they'll be ready next, the upcoming few months here. But to your point, if a New Yorker is available for a program and available for a benefit, we're trying our best to get to them, to reach out to them. As I mentioned, we have direct and indirect outreach through our community events and through direct mailings. Our outreach team is willing to partner with any council member and any community board to try to get the word out there. If I can reference the mailings I spoke about earlier, the 19,000 mailings we sent out to households directly last year, we received about 3,900 responses. And of those 3,900 responses, about 3,300 of them were accepted on program. And so even with direct mailings, it's still not a sure shot that we're going to get them on program.
What happens if a homeowner sends in an application for a tax break after the deadline?
If it's after the deadline, if it's after March 15th, they will not be considered until the following fiscal year.
And would you pre-enroll them for the upcoming year?
If we have a, I'll have to, I want to make sure I'm 100% correct.
Okay.
But we have an application period for new applicants and renewals. Renewal starts in September and goes to January 5th, starts in September and ends in March 15th for these programs. And I believe the initial application is January to March. So now we're entering
Let's say a homeowner sends in an application for a tax break after the deadline. Is at least a record kept of that application to make sure that you reach out to them for the next year?
I will have to talk to the team
Okay.
to see if that's something we do.
Yeah, I'd like to know what happens to those, if people get in late, what happens to those applications? I want to turn to Councilmember Hudson for some questions.
Sure, just a couple, thank you. What efforts does the Department of Finance via ACRIS or another system currently undertake to proactively notify title holders when changes to that title have been registered?
Could you repeat your question again? Sorry, Councilman.
Sure. What efforts does the Department of Finance via ACRIS or another system currently undertake to proactively notify title holders when changes to that title have been registered?
Apologies for making you repeat that question.
No, it's okay.
Every property owner in New York City will receive a notification when a recording happens through ACRIS. It goes out via mail, and so that is one way. I believe that's our most direct and effective effort of notifying a property owner when something happens on their property against their property record. Deputy Commissioner, do you have anything to add?
Also, we do a lot of outreach at all the outreach sessions, we ensure that we talk about the notification program, we give our brochures of how to sign up, but like Jake just mentioned, Director Jake just mentioned, the way we get information is as soon as it gets recorded, you will get a notification. You don't have to sign up. It's an automatic for all New Yorkers who has property get a notification. And that usually goes out within 3 to 5 days.
Okay, thank you. And then does DOF currently have internal processes to flag potentially illicit title changes?
Yes, Council Member. There's a number of flags. Assistant Commissioner, our City Registrar, Colette, who testified back in September.
Right.
She runs an amazing team and an amazing, wonderful team of examiners, and so there's dozens of flags in ACRIS, and so a majority of recordings that happen, they happen online. Folks do them from their homes, from their computers. We have an internal flag system, and anytime a document that sets off a flag, our examiners will carefully review them, make sure, to double check, there's clear signs of deed fraud and deed theft, as she went over it articulately in the last hearing. But anytime it's not it warrants further review, it then goes to an internal audit team essentially, and the examiners take an even closer look than that. And if we still feel as though this is a fraudulent document, it then goes to the sheriff's office. And so there's a number of checks and balances that the examiners do. Deputy Commissioner, if you want to go over some of them.
Yeah, the quality review team really looks to ensure that we look at the prior deeds. We want to make sure that there is a direct transfer. We can't do a title search, but we do look to see if there's a direct transfer. We'll look to see if there hasn't been a recording on the property within the last 40 years. We'll go back and we'll look at the records. We ensure that the assessed value, it's not being transferred for zero right. Consideration. Mm-hmm. Anytime it's a zero consideration, we pull that and we look at it and we look at the assessed value. There's several things that several flags in our system alerts the examiners that this potentially could be fraudulent, as Director has just mentioned, and one of them will tell us if we have repeat offenders, if somebody has come in before and they actually put something on, they try to record something that was fraudulent, it alerts us right away and it goes to our quality review team and we'll notify the sheriff.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I now want to turn to Councilmember Nurse for some questions.
Yes. One, I just want to thank you for laying out some of the numbers that you've said, but given that you don't have hard numbers for underutilization of exemptions, I think it behooves DOF to just continue to over outreach as much as possible, and this is why we put so much emphasis on that in-person outreach funding for people who might be missing that January piece of mail, or they're elderly, or their nephew is not paying attention to what type of mail comes in. So you mentioned the direct mailings that you send out, but can you, for the record, for the purposes of this hearing, list out the schedule of direct mail that goes out starting in January, that list out the opportunities for exemptions, how to sign up for notifications, that has all that information, just so we can have it on the record for folks?
Yes, I can. January 15th, the notice of property value goes out to every property owner in New York City. On January 1st, just to take a step back, on January 1st, statements of accounts, SOA will go out. Then 45 days after that, there'll be the 45-day late notice. So that will also go out this year. The next, there's then renewal mailings go out as well. I'll have to, if you want like an actual calendar.
If you can't list
I
them
can get
now,
you,
if you could just
yeah,
provide
I can
us
get
a
you an
schedule
actual
of mailings.
calendar
Yeah.
instead of working backwards in my head right now.
Yeah, it would just a concrete number of this is how many direct mailings a household would receive. Specifically, that has here's if you qualify for exemption, here's how to get notification, here's how to get someone else notified if you're not able to deal with these matters yourself, so that we can have an understanding exactly for the record on the public. I don't have any other questions at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's and I appreciate DOF's partnership on this whole process. I think you guys have been great. I think there's a perception out there that, there's a bag of money sitting on a table somewhere that says property of the taxpayers, and unless they call and ask about it, they never get the money. So the more outreach we can do, the more ways that we can partner with you on that outreach, the better. I think meeting people where they're at is more important than ever now. And again, we've been very encouraged by the partnership on the lien sale reform, but I think continuing that maintenance and making sure that the reforms that we made, that they're actually working and have the intended desired effect, are super important. But also just doing a better job at writ large of so many of these tax breaks and different programs that are out there that could really help people if only they knew about them, Okay, I want to turn to Councilmember Williams for questions.
Thank you, Chair. I just had one question, and it's about the steps that the Office of the City Register takes when reviewing a document that someone has submitted for recording. Is the agency capable of detecting forgeries or fraud in this process?
The examiners look for basic things that are required by law and by statute for recording. Document must be dated. The name and address of the parties must be on the recording endorsement page. The documents must be signed, notarized, and acknowledged. Property description should be in the document, including the borough block and lot. And if it's a deed, we look for additional information, such as a New York City tax return form, the New York State transfer report, New York State transfer tax form. So we look at all of those things. On the New York City return, it gives the assessed value. So that's one of the things that the staff will look for, the assessed value. If the property is being transferred with zero consideration, that's usually a flag that we will move to our quality review group to look at it. As I said before, if we see that this property is being transferred by somebody who has been on our radar as possibly committing fraud, we'll also move it to our quality review. We also verify with the state that the notary is registered with the state. So if we find there's a notary issue, we'll also remove it. So there's certain that the examiners can't look at it as right away and determine it is fraud, but because of our flags, we'll do a deeper research and partner with our sheriff's department to go out and look to talk to the person who's actually doing the recording and speak to the property owner.
And then I know you're in support of my bill, and so would you say, like, allowing for homeowners to have information about when there are any changes can also kind of support the work of making sure there isn't fraudulent activity with title clouding?
Absolutely, which is why we do send out, when the property is recorded, everyone gets a notice. It's immediately the owner of record with finance will get a notification saying something has occurred on your property. Something was recorded. We give them the sheriff's number if they're not aware of it. We tell them how to look up the information, and we also encourage people to actually be proactive and go into Acris and look and see what's being done against your property.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
I guess last question for me, does DOF have any research or data that shows which type of outreach has been more effective than others so far? You know, in-person events, emails, letters?
To my knowledge, I would have to go back to the team and ask if we've, if we have that information. I think we only have, I'll have to ask the team.
Okay. Okay, if none of my colleagues have questions, we are good to go. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We're now going, we've also been joined by Councilmember Salam, and now we're going to end our administration testimony and open up the hearing for public testimony. Before we begin, I must remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times unless you are testifying. Witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Furthermore, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but they may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant-at-Arms for inclusion in the official hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please make sure you filled out an appearance card that you can get at the desk in the back, the Sergeant-at-Arms desk at the back, and wait for your name to be called. Once you've been recognized, you'll have 2 minutes to speak on the legislation considered today. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant-at-Arms. For those in the chambers today or in the committee room today, or those watching at home, you may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of the conclusion of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. Okay, when you hear your name, please come up to the witness panel. I'll now call our first panel of witnesses. We have Alexander Nippenberg, Tamara Del Carmen, Sunny Joe, and Paula Siegel. Paula, you want to start? Just say your name and your organization and then begin.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for holding this hearing, and my written testimony says good afternoon, but good morning. And it's great to be here. Paula Siegel, I work at Take Root Justice, and I'm speaking today as Senior Staff Attorney in our Equitable Neighborhoods Unit. We are a member of the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition, as I think the members of the council know. The coalition advocates for the full abolition of the New York City lien sale for properties in the city and its replacement with systems that preserve homeowners and tenants' ability to stay in their homes, promote racial equity, and support community land trusts. I just want to respond directly, actually, to something that the department shared and point out an article that I printed for you all so you can have it. This came out in December. It's called How Savvy Investors Can Spot Distressed Properties Before New York City's Tax Lien Sale. I used to serve on a city bar committee with Benjamin, the author. Speculators have all of the information they need to find distressed homeowners in today's world. In fact, by publishing the tax lien sale lists, the department is providing a clear roadmap to find all of them in one batch. We are asking to level the playing field and make sure that individual property owners also get city liens recorded on their individual properties. If they're in a position where they have a lien, that is more than 3 years past due and worth more than $5,000. That's the same threshold we're using, the highest threshold we're using for inclusion in the lien sale and for putting folks on that speculator's roadmap that we're going to publish in February, that they're already getting ready for. So I think anything the department has to say that suggests that what we would be doing by utilizing the powerful ACRA system, which you heard a lot about just now, to let folks know when they have liens due to the city of New York is going to be harming property owners is just a red herring. It's infuriating. So I hope that this council will help homeowners because speculators are already doing fine.
Thank you, Paula. Go ahead.
Good morning, council members.
Just make sure your mic's on.
Sorry. Good morning, council members. I'm Alexander Knippenberg. I'm a senior staff attorney at Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A. Tamara will testify today, and I will answer if there are any questions on the end of the testimony.
Good morning. My name is Tamara Del Carmen, and I am the director of the foreclosure program at Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A, or Brooklyn A. I'm here with my colleague, Alexander Knippenberg, senior staff attorney for our foreclosure program. Our team provides vulnerable homeowners throughout New York City with free, direct legal representation, advice, and appropriate referrals to protect home equity. Our organization consulted with Council Member Natasha Williams on the drafting of Intro 1086 relating to the clouding of title, and we are eager to see it passed by the City Council. By requiring timely notice when a deed or mortgage-related document is recorded for a property, this bill would offer vulnerable homeowners a new resource to prevent title clouding and deed theft scams. Fraudulent clouding of title is a serious and growing issue for homeowners. It involves bad actors filing false or misleading claims, liens, or encumbrances against a property's title with the goal of creating confusion over rightful ownership. Scammers seeking to cloud a title will file forged or invalid documents on properties at risk of foreclosure, making it difficult for the rightful owner to secure loan modifications or otherwise rectify the financial situation of their property. Title clouding scammers may then attempt to claim ownership of the property by pressuring the vulnerable homeowner into signing fraudulent documents or authorizing documents under duress, which are then recorded to create false claims on the title. Intro 1086 would address the current lack of adequate oversight in this area. Brooklyn A supports this bill and all the other bills introduced today and hope to see them passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sunny Joe. I'm an attorney with the Legal Aid Society, and I didn't realize I only had 2 minutes, so I'm going to skip over a whole bunch of things about legal aid. Based on our experience, well, actually, I should say this. The Legal Aid Society has been at the forefront of advocating for the rights of homeowners at the city, state, and local level since 2000 through our foreclosure prevention and home equity preservation project, which I am a part of. We therefore appreciate the opportunity to testify today. Based on our experience, many homeowners, in particular senior homeowners, continue to be unaware of the various property tax reductions and related programs for which they are eligible. Intro 782 would provide an important step to more timely provide homeowners with this critical information. In addition, Intro 782 might add a provision to require DOF to provide the same information to homeowners who elect to pay their taxes in person at a DOF office. From what our clients tell us, too many times homeowners go to the DOF offices to pay their taxes and are not given that information. Intro 783 seeks to amend the existing law to require DOF to record on ACRA's tax liens once they exceed $5,000 and are past due for a period of 3 years or more. It has been our understanding that once DOF has sold arrears for their property taxes or water and sewer charges to a trust, such liens are recorded. We have some concerns about recording of tax liens on ACRIS. I think others have said this before, because such recordings have become a roadmap for predatory investors and scammers. Properties with recorded tax liens are clearly identifiable as distressed properties, and as such have become targets for various deed theft schemes.
You could finish up.
Thank you. So perhaps instead of recording tax liens on ACRIS, such liens could be docketed with the county clerk, similar to how other liens and judgments are docketed. Intro 889 would provide notification. Intro 889, the questionable transfers occur within much shorter periods than 30 years, and typically involving transfers to an LLC. So we would respectfully suggest that any transfers to an LLC be included in such notification. And Intro 1086, while such notifications might strengthen the protection of vulnerable property owners against unauthorized deed transfers, the definition of interested parties doesn't seem to include heirs who have not yet started surrogate court proceedings, and it is precisely those heirs who have become a primary target of predatory transfers. Therefore, we respectfully propose that the City Council address how potential heirs could protect their family homes. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, has developed guidelines on how potential heirs who are not on the mortgage yet can assert their rights as successors in interest, and perhaps COF could adopt a similar approach. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you. Our next panel, Joan Erskine, Tobias Campbell, Hannah Anushi. No, just hit the red button.
Oh.
You go.
Okay, how's that? Good morning, Chairman Brennan and committee members. My name is Joan Erskine. I am a board member of Brooklyn Level Up, a community organization concerned with the preservation and healthy development of Flatbush, East Flatbush, and Flatlands. These are neighborhoods where the majority of homeowners are people of color. These are neighborhoods where people of color broke the barriers to their home ownership in the 1970s, and these are neighborhoods where the tax lien sale has a disproportionate impact. Brooklyn Level Up is a member of the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition. I'm here today to urge you to pass all of the measures before you because, as the saying goes, knowledge is power. Each of these measures is about reaching out to property owners and in the case of Councilman Hudson's measure, to the property owner's council member, and making sure that they have the information and the tools they need to avoid, address, and resolve debts to the city, surely the goal of the city as well. With regard to Intro 782 of 2024, thank you, Councilmember Nurse, for doing the work of researching and crafting this. There is little point to having exemptions to property taxes if the people who qualify for those exemptions don't know about them. Likewise, ACRIS is a powerful tool for the property owners, but again, only if they know about it and know how to use it. With regard to 783, again, thank you, Councilmember Nurse. Requiring liens over $5,000 to be recorded serves to inform property owners of the extent of the encumbrance on their title and can spur them to seek help in clearing it. With regard to 889, thank you, Councilmember Hudson. Older property owners are at risk of real estate scammers and sharks, as the record has amply demonstrated. They deserve the attention of their council member if there is suspicious activity around their deed. With regard to...
Just conclude. Just wrap it up.
Okay. Finally, with regard to, again, it's all about notice. Knowledge is power. We need to give the people the knowledge they need. I just want to say, with regard to the methods of and frequency of notice. I used to own a business, and it came to my sad attention that you cannot find enough ways to advertise. You cannot find enough time to advertise. You have to find many ways. You have to do it over and over again, or you will not get noticed. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Committee on Finance Chair Brannon and all committee members. My name's Tobias Campbell. I'm a member of the East New York Community Land Trust and a lifelong New Yorker. I'm here with the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition, which advocates for the full abolition of the New York City lien sale and its replacement with systems that ensure housing stability and racial equity while promoting the community land trust model. For any temporary financial benefit the city might see out of the sale of tax liens, we know that ultimately this system only serves to enrich speculators and to fuel displacement. If the city cares about preserving a culturally rich and democratic New York, the tax lien sale is a kind of self-sabotage, a kind of shooting oneself in the foot. We appreciate the work the City Council has done thus far to ameliorate the tax lien sale. We're here today to call on the City Council to continue that good work by passing 2 common sense bills introduced by Councilmember Nurse to ensure that New Yorkers have access to important information ahead of this year's upcoming tax lien sale. Let's pass Intro 782 so that along with the property tax bills they receive every 3 months, New York homeowners are also informed of the exemptions they qualify for and of how to get on the ACRIS alert system. And let's pass Intro 783 so that ACRIS reflects any significant accruing debts that property owners might not be aware of otherwise. This way, no one will be subjected to the lien sale speculation and foreclosure simply due to a lack of knowledge. Making sure people have the information they are entitled to is truly the least we can do. Please vote on these bills so they can become law in time to help reduce the number of properties headed to the May 2025 lien sale, as well as the other pieces of legislation that were discussed today. And beyond making these common sense changes, we hope that the city will abolish the tax lien sale and replace it with a system of municipal debt collection that prioritizes neighborhood stabilization. And yeah, the coalition has done really good work in laying out that alternative system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Great. Good morning, council members. My name is Hannah Anouche, and I'm the campaigns director for the East New York Community Land Trust. I'll try to shorten my testimony. So we formed the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition in 2020 when we realized that there were thousands of residents in East New York and Brownsville who were impacted by the lien sale, just like in many other working class Black and brown communities across the city. And as I think you all know, as a coalition, we advocate for the full abolition of the lien sale for all properties in New York City. And we advocate for its replacement with a municipal debt collection system that ensures that the city collects its debt. You know, we want the city to collect its debt, but also keeps homeowners and tenants in their homes by working with CLTs and other entities instead of outsourcing this core government function to a private trust that's accountable to investors that it enriches. So we're really glad that the council is hearing Councilmember Nurse's bills to improve Department of Finance's processes. We support Intro 783, and Intro 782 is just common sense. You know, the Department of Finance already sends out notices, so it should send out more detailed notices giving people information about existing exemptions. You know, we've done so much outreach in our neighborhoods, so we really understand how easy it is for people to not get the information about exemptions. And we've come across so many people who weren't aware that they were eligible for an exemption, and then, you know, racked up so much debt, compounded with interest and fees when they should have been exempt. So that's another reason why Resolution 327, calling on Albany to allow retroactive exemptions, is so important, because there's so many people in that situation. We also support Councilmember Williams and Hudson's bills to protect homeowners from deed fraud. And we urge you to pass all of these bills out of committee so that they can get voted on in time to reduce the number of properties in the May lien sale. And lastly, I just want to re-emphasize our ask that this committee and the Housing and Buildings Committee really work with us to fully abolish the lien sale and replace it with a more fair system. And there's a lot of other bills that are important to making that happen. So thank you.
Thank you all very much for your testimony. Okay, we just have to address an IT issue, and then we're going to get to the folks who are on Zoom.
Do a Zoom audio test. Zoom audio test.
Can you hear me?
Hear you.
You guys good? Okay. All right, we're going to start on Zoom with John Krinsky.
You may
Hello,
begin.
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, John.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Brennan, committee, and all committee members. My name is John Krinsky. I'm a professor of political science and public policy at the City College of New York and the CUNY Grad Center. I'm also a co-founding board member of the New York City Community Land Initiative, but I come here on my own behalf. Nicely, I will be submitting its own testimony to thank you for hearing Intro 782 and 783 and urge passage of those and also the other legislation in front of the committee. I wanted to just mention as well in my testimony, which I've submitted written testimony, that this has a much longer history. I worked at the Housing Policy and Research Division of the Community Service Society from 1993 to 1996 and saw the transition to the tax lien sale from the earlier system of tax foreclosure from the perspective of efforts to forestall disinvestment and abandonment of housing. Back then, as the city and its real estate market recovered from the long crisis that began in the late 1960s, tax delinquent properties, which had been nearly valueless, were instead becoming very valuable. Tax delinquency was understood, however, to be an early warning sign of trouble, whether because of the more obvious financial instability of housing or because of the deeply deteriorating conditions for tenants. And tenants are an important piece of this that we're not really addressing too much today. It was clear to us then that pooling liens and selling them as investments would make it harder for the city to build on the success of its community-based nonprofit housing programs that enabled some of the worst buildings to more easily enter city and then community ownership. The specificity of conditions would be hidden, in effect, by the focus on the value of the lien and dissolved in the larger pool. Having a nearly 30-year perspective on a city policy that's persisted in the face of evidence of its racial disparities, facilitation of deed fraud, and increasing
Thank you for
hardship
your
on
testimony.
people.
Time has expired.
Okay, I'll just say that 30 years of seeing the harms that the lien sale has done, and at least 10 in advocating against it, it's like screaming at a wall. But someday it's going to fall, and it falls to you, and someday should start today. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Now we have Pamela Herrera.
You may begin.
Hello, good morning, Committee on Finance Chair Brannon and all committee members. My name is Pamela Herrera, and I'm the Land Justice Coordinator for the Western Queens Community Land Trust. I belong also to the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition. As Paula mentioned, we preserve homeowners and tenants' ability to stay in their homes, promote racial equity, and support community land trusts. My testimony is more about door knocking. When I had gone to Astoria and Queens, and I had noticed that there were a lot of vacant commercial properties and neglected apartment buildings. We saw illegal conversions, we saw unlit hallways, broken front doors, broken intercoms, and more alarming, dangerous conditions. These conditions continue the predatory practice we see across all boroughs. As for homeowners, we saw the deceased relatives with no plan left behind, leaving behind a stack of bills with no resources. We saw income restricted families trying to make ends meet. And today we're really glad that the council is hearing the two imperative bills that council member Nurse will improve the DOF's process. So let's pass Intro 1782 that will give owners access to ACRIS, which is another form of altering families and DOF, alerting families and DOF, and giving them another form of communication to support low-income families, and Intro 1783, which can alert property owners to accruing debt about which they may not have been aware of before and help them avoid the lien sale, speculation, and foreclosure. We also are supportive of all efforts to reduce the opportunities for deed fraud, which we thank Council members Williams and Hudson for identifying ways that the city can use its powers to do that. So please vote on these bills so that it can become law in time to help reduce the number of properties headed to the May 2025 lien sale. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Now we have Will Spisak.
You may begin.
Thank you, and good morning to all the members of the Committee on Finance. My name is Will Spisak. I'm a Senior Program Associate at New Economy Project. We are co-founders and the coordinators of the New York City Community Land Initiative, citywide coalition of community land trusts, and we're a member of the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition, and you heard from a number of our colleagues already today. So I'm going to make this relatively short and just reiterate that we are in full agreement with our colleagues in the Abolish the Tax Lien Sale Coalition that it's imperative that we pass all of these bills and the resolution as quickly as possible. These are really common sense measures that shouldn't be controversial. These will help inform property owners about issues that they may be facing in regards to their tax bills, as well as help protect people, keep them in their homes, which is ultimately the goal of the work that we're doing. I just want to take a moment to say that while we fully support this legislation, and in particular the two bills introduced by Councilmember Nurse, we recognize that they are merely band-aids on a broken system. So we encourage the City Council to continue to work with us and the coalition to abolish and replace the tax lien sale. It's time that we put this Giuliani era system to the side and behind us and move forward with a more equitable system that helps to keep people in their homes and preserve community wealth in our Black and brown neighborhoods. Thank you so much, and we will be submitting written testimony with further thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Now we have Lacey Tauber.
You may begin.
Thanks. Good morning, Chair Brennan, and thank you for holding this hearing today. I'm here representing Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. In November, our office testified at another council hearing about deed theft, and we encouraged the council to hear these bills. So thank you for acting quickly to make this hearing happen. As was discussed at length at that hearing, deed theft is a pressing issue in Brooklyn, especially for older adult homeowners. Deed theft scammers are targeting these communities through illegal tactics such as refinancing scams, equity stripping, and foreclosure bailout loans, resulting in the displacement of our neighbors and the loss of generational wealth. Additionally, unfortunately, the council reinstated the tax lien sale last year, albeit with significant updates to help homeowners avoid having their liens sold and new options for keeping people in their homes. But still, any sale of liens to private purchasers can put property owners at risk of foreclosure and open the door for predatory actors. We want to prevent this, and that's going to take interagency coordination at the city and state levels. Today, what we're really focused on is the Department of Finance's role in outreach and education. And what we really want to do is just ensure that the homeowners have the tools and information they need to protect their homes. And so the borough president supports 782A, in addition to saving property owners money, having information about exemptions, will exempt them from the lien sale, and having information about the ACRIS alert system is an important tool for awareness if someone has made unauthorized changes to their property documents. 1086 builds on this by requiring DOF to conduct more proactive outreach. While ACRIS alert system is helpful, it's important that homeowners don't have to rely on it alone for this important information, especially because of the digital divide. Intro 899 creates a role for the City Council to assist with outreach for long-term homeowners in their district, which can be very helpful. All right, and I will just add, he also supports 783 and Reso 327, and thank you again for your quick attention to these important proposals.
Thank you. Now we have Christopher Leon Johnson. We've also been joined.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello, you hear me?
Yeah, we've also been joined by Councilmember Powers. Go ahead, Christopher.
Well, good morning, Councilmember Brannon. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson, and I'm here to support the bills that Councilmember Sandy Nurse has introduced to protect the small business owners when it comes to notifying, educating, and outreach when it comes to property tax. This is my opinion, is that the homeowners, any homeowners in the city, need these protections and they need these outreaches because everybody knows that the city has one of the highest taxes in the country when it comes to property tax, and they need to be educated on where is that money going to and why they're paying it, while at the same time that the city council needs to support the bills that were introduced by Councilmember Farrell Lewis and the Speaker Adrian Adams when it comes to short-term rentals for Airbnb. I know that the city council scared the Hotel Trades Commission, Hotel Trades Union, but they need to support that bill. While at the same time, I hope that Sandy Nurse, who likes to always put bills to get around things, she needs to introduce a bill to not only give tax rebates to any property owner that delivers short-term rentals for people that want to rent out at homes or condos or co-ops. So I hope that the city council, they doing outreach for people that are paying property tax. They need to do outreach to protect the people that are doing short-term rentals. They should be allowing people who own homes to do short-term rentals instead of just letting Hotel Trades Union run the show. But like I said, I hope Sandy Nurse issues a bill to start giving tax rebates and tax cuts and tax exemptions to any property owner in New York City, every property owner in New York City that that do short-term rentals in the city. We need short-term rentals because not everybody can afford a
Your time
hotel.
has expired.
All right, but thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you for your testimony. Now we have Alexis Foote.
You may begin.
Hello, can you hear me? I apologize.
Is that you, Alexis?
Me?
Alexis?
So my name is Alexis Foote. I don't know why it's echoing, but I hope that you support both of the bills that are in the tax lien. I'm from Far Rockaway. I was born and raised in Harlem. I live in Far Rockaway, and a lot of our homeowners are being affected, especially the Black and Brown, by the tax lien sale because they don't know that their homes are going on sale on the tax lien sale. My community has been just devastated by Hurricane Sandy, and my homeowners cannot afford to have their homes put in a tax lien sale. I am the founder and board member of the Real Edgemere Community Land Trust, which stands for Residents Acquiring Land, and the majority of my homeowners are scared of the tax lien sale because it doesn't give them an opportunity to pay off their water bills, to have a chance to catch up to the bills. Another thing, the city needs to make sure that they educate our homeowners on ways to get out of the tax lien sale. Once again, I'm sorry for the echoing, but my community is suffering because of the tax lien sale. We're suffering because we're not getting enough services out in Far Rockaway. We are a transportation desert and an amenities desert, and we need the city to look out for us. We need a hospital. We have all these needs, and the tax lien sale just puts more burden on my Black and Brown homeowners. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have no more witnesses. With no other questions from my colleagues, we are going to conclude this hearing. Thank you very much.